Hey everyone, you're watching Kickback and Chat with Amber Pickens. I am so thrilled today because we are here in New York City at the New World Stages off Broadway for amazing, electrifying, passionate, powerful show. And today I get to chat with a dope artist, y'all. She's a Broadway veteran. She's an actress, singer, writer, producer. This beautiful artist has done a lot of things, everyone. And she is also the writer and the star of Little Girl Blue, an off-Broadway musical that is making its way around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Laiona Michelle. Hi, Laiona.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for making time. I know y'all have rehearsals and just a moment of rest and all that. So thank you. Oh my gosh, so we have a lot to dive into. I'm super excited. I got to come on your opening night and you were just so incredible, so powerful. So I wanted to start a little bit at the beginning with what was your introduction to theater?
Oh boy, you're taking me way back. I'm 11 years old. I'm
From Springfield, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
I have family up there.
You do?
Yeah, some Barbies.
Oh yeah. Springfield's small. It's small. And when I was in middle school, there was a production of Romeo and Juliet that toured into our town. And I remember just sitting in the theater as a little girl and watching Romeo take the stage. And he was a black male. And he began to speak. And I immediately stood up, sat to the edge of my seat and took notice. And I was just so taken by his presence, his articulation and grace. And he just so happened to be the only black person in the show.
Wow.
And that really made me feel like, well, why is that? And wow, I didn't know we could do that too, and be on that side of the arts and do Shakespeare and classics. And so I began to just read lots of Shakespeare and fall in love with the arts, really.
And you wanted to be a part of that representation, that change at a very early age. Wow. Okay. So I know, well, not that I necessarily know, but I've talked to a few women that have done one-woman shows, and it's almost like they had to go on a personal journey to make that decision to go into a one-woman show. So you've done Broadway, off-Broadway. You've done so much, so many amazing projects. When did you know, okay, it's time for me to do a one-woman show?
Well, I've always had a lot to say and a lot stirring inside of me. I just didn't know how I was going to do it or say it. It wasn't until I found myself in a period of my life where I was incredibly frustrated with the industry and the material that I was being given as an actress. And it was at that point I began to think, well, I need to start crafting my own thing, finding my own voice. And the one voice that really spoke to me loud and clearly was Nina Simone. And
What a powerful.
she had a lot to say. So, and the shoes fit just right. I understood her. I understood her pain. I understood her complexity. And I knew that with Nina, that her life story deserved to have a platform to reach the masses. You know, there's so many young people who never even heard of Nina Simone.
That's how I felt when I first heard about her, because I didn't hear about her until I was at Juilliard, and I was like, wait, why don't I know about this woman?
That's right. And then you're like, whoa. And it was only because she was just so brilliant. And, you know, and she was oftentimes cast as a troublemaker. I mean, rightfully so. I mean, she was doing God's business. That was good trouble right there. And so I just feel like now, you know, the universe has really leaned in to hear, you know, the message that she was trying so hard to put out there.
Where did you start? Because with Nina Simone, there's so much. So was it a song? Was it something you read about her life? Okay, when was that moment when you said, okay, this is where I'm going to start?
If I'm being really honest, I started with my personal pain.
Wow.
Yeah. And my pain found her pain. And I began to just nest in her music and listen to there's so much message inside of the music. And I found that as I was doing that, it became very cathartic and healing for me, you know. And then from there, I just, of course, all things Nina, read all the books, interviews, and just really allowed myself to take a year or two of my life to just really meditate on who is this woman, because she's talking to me. She's calling me. And so it began there. It began with the pain. And from there, I devised the script so that I'm dealing with her own personal heartbreaks and breakdowns, as I kind of parallel my own personal heartbreaks and breakdowns. And and then we arrived to a space of resilience there. She took the blows. She took the blows, and she always landed on her feet.
Because that was going to be my next question, because in the second act, you feel like after she dealt with so much in the first act, 'cause I was going to ask you, how did you decide to focus on like around 68, then going into the 70s? Because I felt that she was dealing with so much in the beginning, trying to find her voice. And then by the time we get to act 2, she's like liberated, and I wanted to scream.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What about those 2 eras? Was it...
Oh, yeah. So we started in 68, and she's on U.S. soil, and in many ways, she was still towing the line, even though she was out there as a foot soldier for the movement. There was so much that she was being handled by her management, her husband, the music industry, all those things were, handling her and putting her in her place. And she was, elbowing her way through it all. And then we land in Switzerland in 76, where she's on foreign soil, and she becomes liberated. Like all of that handling, she shakes it off. And we see a Nina Simone who is more outspoken. She's no longer towing the line, and she's really living in her full glory. And because she's in Switzerland, she's received in a different way. And I think that's happened to so many artists.
Yes, I hear about that all the time. Yeah. But I've never performed over there. So my question is it because I know we still have our artistic responsibilities and voices when we go anywhere, but why do you think that is, that so many artists feel liberated when they go over there? Because I read that even with James Baldwin, he was over there, then he came back.
Baldwin, yeah. Billie Holiday,
Tina,
Baker,
which is my favorite.
So many.
Is it just more acceptance of?
Well, I do think it's they are accepted over there, but I also think that as an artist, it is important that you can own all of you. Your voice, your skin, your beauty, all of it. And when you get to a point where you can't throw it at the wall and create art and be heard and seen the way God created you, it could either kill you or you run and you find a place where you can survive, right? And survive it all. And so she did that, and so many have done that. And I mean it's terrible when we talk about this is our country.
Yeah.
We live
still
in
dealing with that stuff today as artists, and specifically as Black artists.
Yeah. And thank God for the younger generation of artists who are just not having any of it. They're going to do their thing. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and it's scary. It's scary. Speaking of, in terms of, I've been that woman where I'm like, speaking of, got to call my mom. Like, I said this today, but it's beyond me.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
Start somewhere.
That is absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I thank Nina for that.
Because it goes beyond surviving, but thriving.
Thriving. That is key.
Yeah. That's what I walked away with when I saw you perform. It's like, because we don't want to just like barely make it and just survive, but really thrive. And I felt that I really felt Nina working through you when you were right here on that stage, and you just like were so open. I was like, that's what I want to see more of our artists look like. Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a gift too, because, as a Black woman, that, so often in this industry, we don't have permission to be direct with how we feel, what our point of views are, how we think, because it can so often come across as just being angry or, too much, And so Nina really has empowered me to be unapologetic. To really be unapologetic.
Because it's urgent, especially when you learn about our ancestors. It's like, no, it's an urgency there still today. Like, we have to be direct with this. Why would we be indirect?
That's right. So this show is for like all those little black and brown girls and boys out there, or anyone who is like in the corner trying to figure out how to get into the spotlight or be down center, right? It's for them to come from the back to the front, you know, and I can't do that if I'm constantly apologizing and not speaking in my own voice. One of the things Nina said before she passed away, and I run this video over and over in my head, is that she says when she passes away, when she's no longer here, she wants to leave something for her people. Your people got yours. I want to leave something for my people. And so this show really is dedicated to Nina.
Yes, I'm so grateful for both of you ladies. Thank you, because I'm like, wow, like, because we need that, and more artists have to look at it that way, like getting beyond just being an entertainer and a true ambassador of the arts. Like, I'm being called to do something greater, just to be on the stage and be beautiful.
I think you and I are going to be friends.
Right? And it really is scary because I'm like, I've definitely been in a lot of situations where I have to speak up. So to see you, to learn about Nina, and to be empowered. When I was at Juilliard, it was really tough for me being in that specific, predominantly white space, because coming from Texas, I thought coming up here to New York is going to be so diverse, and I never have to deal with things I don't.
Audition as well.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It is. I was talking about Usher towards the end. It was so funny. I always tell people about that story. We'll talk about it another time. It's so funny. I was like, oh, I'm gonna talk about Usher, and it worked. But just being in that space and hoping that coming to New York, I would have had, been around so many young adults from all around the world, and we would be celebrated for our differences. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like they're trying to make us all the exact same and go against, and that was really unfortunate. But something else I wanted to ask, because there were so many different complexities, and you really explored the beauty, the ugliness of it all, the power, the weakness, the vulnerability. Was it a moment where you said, oh, like, I don't want to go too far on this? Was it ever a fear of that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. A lot of that. Mainly because I'm so protective of Nina, and the last thing you want to do is sling mud at your icon, the person you're in love with. But the beautiful thing about Nina Simone is she was very transparent. And the only reason why I knew all of this stuff is because she said it herself or gave it to us. And that's a gift. That really is a gift, because it not only healed her, but it's healing so many when they can sit in this seat and witness Nina Simone, somebody that you look at as tremendously strong. And then you see her be in a position where she's enduring physical abuse. That's a difficult thing to talk about. Or mental illness. Very difficult things to talk about.
Still having all the pressure.
That's right. That's right. So we take that word strong and we can knock it down a bit and say that, she was human and she was brave. And I thank her for that. I thank her for that. I really do.
That word, actually. Brave.
Yeah, that's very brave. Very brave to step up and say, this is what I lived through. And I survived these things. And my light isn't dimmed because of that, right? Yeah, I just love her. I just love her.
Me too. Oh, me too. I'm like, oh gosh. One of my favorite moment though is when you started singing "Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair," because I always thought it was about maybe a lover, or and everybody interprets things different, but I thought that was one of the most beautiful moments that I've ever witnessed before in theater, to be singing that to your child. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, when I was crafting the script, we first, we had the book, and it was a very, very dense. She lived so much life. And then we started finding the songs that kind of felt just right. And when we found Black is the Color, I fell in love with it too. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to use this, because there's so much story lyrically inside of that song. And the way she sings it, those long lines, it really pulls at your heartstring. So then I knew there that I wanted to use that piece for one of those moments in the piece that was a longing, a heartache moment, Yeah, it's powerful.
Yes, it really
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you, Miss Nina, Little Girl Blue, this is just so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I also know that you're working on a Nelson Mandela musical. So can you just share a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. That is coming up in November at the Young Vic in London. I'm the book writer of it. I'm really super excited about that. My collaborators, Greg and Sean Borowski from South Africa, are lyrics and music. And the show is being directed by Shelley Williams. And we're going to be opening at the Young Vic at the end of this year. That's so exciting. Another iconic, important work we're doing here.
Oh my God.
Important
Yeah,
work.
Mr. Mandela, president. Like, oh my
For
God.
life, right?
Yes, like he's one of my heroes, and he's another person I didn't learn about until later on. I'm like, why did I not know about these people growing up?
Yeah.
But I'm so excited. I want to go to London to see that, so I cannot wait.
I think people are going to be really surprised. Because oftentimes, when you say Nelson Mandela, they see this soft, lovely man who loves children, and but he had some thick skin.
Oh my gosh, is that the he was dealing with? I'm like,
Tremendous
oh my
life.
God.
Yeah, tremendous life.
He fought for so much, so much. Yeah, but I'm so excited. This is just the beginning. We have to follow up later this year in London.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Laiona, for chatting with me and all the beautiful work that you're doing for so many of us, and a space for us to feel inspired and empowered.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Kickback and Chat with Amber Pickens.